Okay, you guys, it is day number 9 of 42 online business. I have a little bit of a surprise for you today. Are you ready? There was only $2 in there. This is called a cash cannon, and apparently you're supposed to put dollars in here and then it's supposed to fly out, but anyway, I just got it yesterday, so I've been playing with it, but I need to get more dollars. So anyway, I thought I would start with that. So make sure you guys get one, Amazon.com, cash cannon. I'm thinking about getting a bunch for my mastermind members, but don't tell them. It is fun. I learned about it at an event I was at. It's a kind of a cool gift idea. But today we're not talking about cash cannons. We are talking about how to find our voice online. So this is a good question. It is, how do I find my voice online? How do I know what to say? How do I know how to say it? And if you're in the personal branding business, which means again that your face and your messages and your voice are out in front, it's important to have a voice that is somewhat memorable. So people need to know who you are, they need to know what you stand for, they need to know what you know, they need to know how you help them. And so I'm going to share with you today 3 ways that you can start to formulate your voice. But first of all, I want to remind you that it takes time. So it takes time. You know who you are in your family, you know who you are to your kids, you know who you are to your partner, to your friends, but you might not know who you are online yet, and that's okay, especially in the health and fitness space. Maybe you know who you are to your clients, and I think that's a good place to start when it comes to online business. But there's a couple different things. So because online is driven by content, again, review, content is your words, your photos, your videos, your Facebook lives. This video is a piece of content. Because online it's driven by content, we have to have a little bit of a personality. We have to have a voice. Yay, Tiara, thanks, that's so sweet. And you guys, what I would love, if you guys have questions, I will take questions live too. I haven't been doing that. So a couple things. If you like the lives, I would love for you to just put a like on this post. Because here's a little tip. You guys know about Facebook. Facebook wants its posts to be relevant. And what that means is if you guys find this video relevant, that means for you, like you like it or you want to watch it, and you push to like this video, within the first 15 to 30 minutes, Facebook will think, oh, that video is relevant. People like that video. And what it will do as a result is it will take this video and it will push it into the Facebook news feed so that more people see it. So it's a little bit cruel, but it's usually the first like 15 to 30 minutes of traction on the video is really important. So if you guys are posting to your page, if you have a Facebook business page or a personal page, and you're doing a live or you're doing a post, you want to make sure that you're hanging around the post for like the first like 15 to 30 minutes so that if someone does comment on it, you can comment right back, because again, that early engagement is really important if we want more people to see our posts. Organic engagement, that we're getting off on a tangent right now, but organic engagement on Facebook business posts are kind of at like an all-time low, and they're going to be even lower soon. So Facebook personal pages are in play, Facebook groups are in play, all that kind of stuff. But you want to think about Facebook is always trying to improve the user experience. So if I'm a business, like I am, Jill Coleman, and I'm putting out a piece of content and there's a lot of early engagement, Facebook is going to go, wow, users really like this post, and it's going to show it to more people. So that's just a little bit of a sidebar for you guys. Okay, so today, 3 ways to hone your voice online. It takes time. It takes time. You're going to have to put out more content. You're going to get more comfortable. At this point, you probably feel like your message is really general. You feel like you don't really know who you're talking to yet, and all of that's normal. And I can guarantee you that when the first like 3, 6, 9 months of your business, you're going to get a lot more focused. And you're going to get a lot more clear on 2 things. You're going to get clear on who you're for, and you're also going to get clear on who you're not for. And the way that you're going to do that is my number 1 step, which is write down the things you believe in and the things that you don't. So take out a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On the right-hand side, it's going to be core values, what you stand for as a business. This can be on principle. This can be nutrition philosophy. This can be exercise philosophy, right? So maybe you're like, at JillFit, I'd be like moderation 365. I would say, personal empowerment, personal responsibility, relentless positivity, like all these kind of things, right? All these kind of like core values, the things that I believe in, the things that I want my brand to project, right? So on the one side, I'm going to write all the things that I stand for, my core values. And On the other side of the column, I'm going to put the things I don't stand for. So this is important, and this is a piece that gets missed quite a bit. On the other side, you're going to put the things that you don't put up with, or the things that you think are bullshit. So you're going to put, for me, I would put like quick fixes, short-term programs, yo-yo dieting, extreme dieting. I would put things like, victim mentality. Maybe what I stand for is action. What I don't stand for is kind of like, maybe something like ruminating or, like negative Nancy's and stuff like that, right? So I have one side that the stuff I do stand for, and the other side, these are what I call your anti-messages, right? So we have our pro messages, things we're for, then we have our anti-messages. And so if you're looking to post something online, a lot of times what I'll do, and if you guys are following this page, you get this, I'll start with an anti-messaging. I'll actually start with a message that's like, this is bullshit and here's why. And so that can be a really interesting piece of content and helps people get to know you better. So it's not just like moderation 365, moderation 365, moderation 365. It's like, here's why if you're yo-yo dieting and you're jumping from extreme plan to extreme plan, why you're going to continue struggling, because these things are set up to make us more stupid. Like that's what I'm gonna, and that's a post, right? That's a value add. And when I do that, it now creates space for me to tell you what I do think works, which is Moderation 365, right? So if I have a freebie called Moderation 365 Training, I have a program called 4-Week Food Obsession Bootcamp. So I'm creating space now to say, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, but this does work, right? And that's a really interesting argument and a way for people to start to get to know me and my voice. The way that I say it is my voice. The things that I'm saying are my messages. The way that I'm saying it is my voice, and the things I'm saying are my messages. So, for me, you can even ask like your friends and family, like, how do you see me online? Do you see me as kind of bragging? Do you see me as, kind of like no bullshit? Do you see me as weak? Do you see me as confident? Do you see me as kind of just like warm, like I'm not hot or cold? How do you see me? So I get a lot of feedback at Jill. People say, I like your no BS attitude. I like that you're direct to the point. I love that you're real, things like that. So you don't have to take on my voice. That's just what has worked for me over the years. You need to come up with your own. So are you going to be someone who is like a cheerleader? Are you going to be someone who is more like empathetic? And again, you need probably pieces of all of this stuff. Are you going to be kind of like a competent teacher? For me, I feel like my online persona is more of like a teacher versus like someone like a Jen Sinkler, who's a good friend of mine, who's like a friend, right? Like, sure, her thing is like people want to be best friends with her. And I think that's great too. So which kind of persona are you? And you want to kind of play with what's natural. So the number one tip is, not the number one, but the first tip is decide what you're for and decide what you're against, right? And so now you have all these different pieces of content you can talk about. The second thing is that you are going to tell your stories. Second thing is you're going to tell your stories. And this is important because the stories that you tell help to bring in the potential customer or the reader or whatever. So chances are, if you tell your story, for example, maybe I'll tell my story of doing my first figure competition and gaining 20 pounds immediately after that show. I felt shame around that. I felt like I was weak. I felt like, how come no one told me about this? I felt like it was such a failure. And I also thought, well, I just need to do another diet really quick because that was what I needed for my kind of perfectionism and my control mechanism, was just to do another diet. So when I talk about that and I talk about what I was thinking in my head in that moment, I'm allowing for other people to connect to different pieces of that story. So chances are you're going to be talking to a previous version of yourself. If I'm talking to you about something that happened to me 5 years ago, or something that I went through 20 years ago, or something that happened last weekend, and someone resonates with that, they're going to be like, oh my God, I need that information. That's where I am right now. And I get all those kind of comments all the time at JillFit. Oh my God, that's exactly where I am. Tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do this. And so your stories help also hone your voice. Who are you? Like, if you don't share stories about what you've gone through, what you've overcome, and these don't need to be like huge life stories. These can be little tiny instances of, I went out to dinner and this is what happened. And, a person made a comment about me eating the bread basket. I'm not saying that happened to me, although it did happen to me. And I talked about it. And a lot of people were like, yeah, how come people police my food? And I'm like, see, it is not, even though it's a specific story, it's still universal. Your stories will help you hone in on your voice. So make sure you're sharing them, a lot of them. And not only share what happened, don't be like, I went to the store, then I bought some food, then I came home. Be like, I went to the store and I was feeling super jacked up because I didn't know what to buy and I was trying to get a hold of my coach and I was just feeling so anxious that I didn't know what peanut butter to get because this one had more sodium. Like, go into the feelings of how you felt when you were doing those things. How did it make you feel? I've talked very openly about the amount of like shame and guilt and self-disgust that I used to feel about myself and overindulging and things like that. And I had so many people come out of the woodwork and be like, that's exactly my story. No one's ever articulated it like that. You're actually articulating my exact experience. And so when you can do that, and by the way, you guys, that's a practice, right? That's a practice in communication. When you can start to do that, that's when you really start hitting your stride, and that takes practice. So you're not supposed to know how to do that. You're just going to practice it. So the number 2 thing is tell a bunch of stories, and chances are you're going to be talking to someone who has also had a similar experience. And that's good because we want to attract the right people to work with us. All right, number 3 is a fun one. Number 3 is the reason why I talk about Drake all the time. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I love Drake. But here's the thing, I like a whole bunch of other artists as well, but I talk about Drake because he is what's called a knowable. So he is what, for me, is a knowable. People know that about you, right? So if people tag you on Instagram, what do your friends tag you in on Instagram? That is a good insight into what people might be considering, connecting with you on. So I get tagged in memes about wine. I get tagged in stuff about dogs. I get tagged in stuff about big ass salads. I get tagged in stuff about moderation. I get tagged in stuff about Drake all the time. And so what are these kind of 3 to 5 quirks or knowables about your personality? They don't need to be weird things necessarily, but they're just things about you that someone can come to know. And in order for them to come to know it, you have to say it again and again and again and again. So you strategically kind of play these things up online so that people can get to know you in that way. This is a big part of your voice. Remember, we want to connect with people that we know. We want to work with people who are like us. So 2 online trainers can have the exact same certifications, qualifications, same amount of information, but one of them drinks wine and the other doesn't. Neither one is better or worse, by the way, but someone's going to go like, Jill drinks wine. I like wine too. I'm gonna work with her. And so that's how specific the matching system can be with clients and messaging right now, which is really cool, which means that you get to actually just be 100% yourself, but take these 3 to 5 things about you, and I want you to start strategically playing them up online. And those are resonance points for people. And of course, these things are going to change, right? Like, I might not like Drake in 10 years. I don't think that will happen, but it could happen. And in that case, if you guys followed Jill in the early years, you remember the Reese's Pieces days, right? I still love Reese's Pieces. I'm just not eating them as like a ritual every Sunday anymore. Maybe I should go back to that actually. But these things will change, and that's okay too. And if they change, just bring people along with you on the journey. It's totally fine. And these things help people to get to know you, and it also helps hone your voice. Are you someone who cusses or not? Again, neither one is bad or worse, but it is a line in the sand. Are you someone who, drinks alcohol every once in a while or not? Again, neither is better or worse. Yes, you're a health professional, but people need to know that you're human too. So it doesn't need to be alcohol, but maybe you have a Reese's Pieces addiction. I don't know, but there's something about you that I can grab onto. And that's a really key way to kind of come up with your voice too. So 3 ways, I'll just repeat them really quick. Number 1, what are you for and what you're not for? Pro messages and anti messages, get super clear on those and go all in on those. You need to have a level of polarization for people to even know what the fuck you stand for, what you do. And if you don't, and you're like, well, you could maybe do a cleanse, but you actually should probably do moderation too, or maybe you should do, you could do a 7-day jumpstart, that'd be fine. If you're for everything, you end up being for nothing. And so you have to have some sort of line in the sand, and you have to have some sort of opinion. So that's good. Pro messages and anti-message. Number 2 is you need to tell your stories. You need to tell way more stories than you're already telling. That when you don't just tell stories in your bio page on your website, you tell stories constantly. That's how we learn as humans. If you talk about your dad, I'm going to immediately think about my dad, and now we're connected because we both have dads and they're both kind of like weird. And then the third thing is that you're gonna play up your knowables or your quirks, these 3 to 5 things that are a personality. It's not like what your certification is. Like, that's fine unless you're really passionate about NASM, then I don't want to hear about it. I want to hear about the like, you know, what you do with your family every week, or, you know, what your favorite workout is, or what your favorite artist is, or what kind of like movies you like to watch, or television shows. Are you obsessed with Game of Thrones? Like, all of these little things are ways that I can connect with you, and I want to feel connected with you. And if I don't feel connected with you, it's okay, by the way, but if I don't feel connected, I'm not going to spend money with you. And so, again, there's plenty of room for everybody. You don't have to be for everybody. You get to have all these little tiny differentiators. And because of those things, you're going to bring in the right potential customer. So that's it. Hope you guys got something out of this. And remember, please go ahead and tap the screen and give me a little like, so that Facebook sees this video as relevant and useful, and it pushes it out into the newsfeed even more. All right, you guys are the best. I will see you tomorrow. Talk soon.